Hello, in this video I'm going to introduce you to the laws of logarithms. So there's three that we're going to look at, and then there'll be a few practice questions at the end where we can have a go at using them. And I'll timestamp each part of the video below so you can skip through to whichever part you want to see. If this video is useful, then please do go over to my channel where I have loads of other maths tutorials. Okay, so the first law or rule we're going to look at is called the product rule, and I've written it generically in this red box. And it just says if I have two logarithms and I'm adding them together, then I multiply their arguments. And by arguments, I mean the value or the expression that's inside of the brackets of the logarithm. And you can see that here. Now for this to work, the bases of these logarithms must be the same. And you can see here it's base c. So whatever that is, as long as it's the same, I can apply the product rule. Now a thing to note is that for this rule to work, I can't have anything in front of the logarithm other than, I guess, the number 1. Otherwise this rule won't work. So let's look at a couple of examples to see how this works. So the first one we've got is log base 3 of 2 plus log base 3 of 7. And you can see the bases are the same, and so I could rewrite this as log base 3 of 2 multiplied by 7, which I could just write as log base 3 of 14. The next one we've got log. Now there's no base here. When there's no base, we assume we're dealing with log base 10. So log base 10 of 50 plus log base 10 of 2. This will simplify to log base 10 of 50 multiplied by 2, which is log base 10 of 100. And if I think about this, well, 10 to the power of what is 100 is just 2. And so we've simplified those using the product rule. The next one we're going to look at is the quotient rule, which says if I have two logarithms and I'm subtracting one from the other, then we can just divide their arguments. And again, in a similar way to before, I need the bases to be the same for this rule to work. So let's look at a couple of examples using this quotient rule. So here we've got log base 3 of 18 to subtract log base 3 of 2. Well, the bases are the same and I'm subtracting, so I could rewrite this as log base 3 of 18 divided by 2. And 18 divided by 2 is just going to simplify to 9. And so now we've got log base 3 of 9. Well, 3 to the power of what gives me 9? That's just going to simplify to 2. And the next one, again, we're dealing with a log base 10. So we've got log base 10 of 20, subtract log base 10 of 2. Well, I could write this as log of 20 over 2, which is just log of 10. And 10 to the power of what is 10? Well, it's just 10 to the power of 1. The final rule we're going to look at is called the power rule. And this says if whatever's inside the argument of my logarithm, so whatever's inside the bracket, if it's raised to a power, say b, then I can bring that power down to the coefficient of the logarithm. Okay, so let's look at a couple of examples. And so this first one here, we have 3 lots of log base 2 of 4. Well, I'm going to take that coefficient and bring that up into the power. So we've now got log base 2 of 4 cubed. Now 4 cubed is just 64, so I've got log base 2 of 64. And we could say, well, 2 to what power gives me an answer of 64? And that's just going to be 6. So we've simplified that logarithm. The next one's a bit of a different type of question. We're asked to rewrite log base 2 of 9 in the form a multiplied by log base 2 of b, where a and b are just numbers we need to find. So the first thing I'm going to do is rewrite the 9 in this logarithm as 3 squared. So we've now got log base 2 of 3 squared, and then I'm going to use my power rule to bring the squared down to the coefficient. And I've now got 2 lots of log base 2 of 3. And now it's in this form here where our a is 2 and the value of b is 3. The final question, we've got log base 2 of x multiplied by y squared, and we are asked to write it in this form here, log base 2 of x plus some number b multiplied by log base 2 of y. Now, one thing you might want to do here is you'll notice there's this power, and bring it down to the front and say, this is 2 multiplied by log base 2 of x multiplied by y. But unfortunately we can't do this because the power needs to be on every single bit of the argument, so it would have to be on both the x and the y for us to be able to do that. And so we can't do that as a first step. So I'm actually going to apply my product rule, and I'm going to rewrite this as log base 2 of x plus log base 2 of y squared, And now I'm going to apply my power rule on that second term and write it as log base 2 of x plus 2 lots of log base 2 of y. And now we've written it in the correct form. To finish, we're just going to look at a couple of generic questions that are going to use all of these rules. And so the first one, we're asked to simplify log base 3 of 2 plus 3 lots of log base 3 of x. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is bring this coefficient up into the power. And so I've got log base 3 of 2 plus log base 3 of x cubed. And now I could apply my product rule and I get log base 3 of 2 lots of x cubed. And we've simplified that logarithm. The final one's a bit of a tricky one. We've got log 3, so we're dealing with base 10 here, log 3 all squared, subtract log 2 all squared, and we need to show it can be written in this form here. Well, I can't bring this 2 down to the front of the logarithm because the squared isn't actually in the argument of the logarithm, it's the whole logarithm squared. And so if we take a look at this, what you might notice is we have the difference of 2 squares. I've got log 3 squared, subtract log 2 squared. And so using my knowledge of the difference of 2 squares, I'm going to rewrite this as log 3 plus log 2 multiplied by log 3 minus log 2. And now if I take a look at this and apply my product rule to the first bracket, I'm going to get log of 3 multiplied by 2, which is 6, multiplied by, now let's use the quotient rule, log of 3 over 2. And we've gotten to what we needed to get to. So hopefully this video was useful. If it was, go over to my channel where I've got loads of other maths tutorials, and thanks for watching.